We're going to do 2 rounds. So Davy Cakes gets the first overall pick. This is Superflex tight end premium. Superflex tight end premium. And this is a, Mr. Bakes a lot, this is a way too early 25 mock draft, rookie mock draft. All right, so we've got a few more people in here. So Ashton Gentry went first. Not a surprise. This kid already 6 games has over 1,200 yards. That means he's averaging over 200 yards a game. 16 touchdowns, bonkers. Gabe, go ahead. You can go with yours, and Lorenzo as well. You guys can do yours. But all of that being said, even with this being super flex, I anticipate him being the number 1 overall pick. I would be very surprised if there's a quarterback that elevates so much that even in super flex, they would go above Jeanty right now. He just looks that much different. Gabe goes with Tate McMillan. If you're not familiar with Tate McMillan, dude's an absolute freak. We're talking 6'6" wide receiver out of Arizona. Your true X in the most truest form of an X. But the kid is super fluid. Like, it's not like he's stiff and can't make people miss, slow feet. Like, no. And you guys go ahead, Amos, Clint, Ross, you guys go ahead with your picks as well. Next one up, we've got Luther Burden. Luther Burden's fallen down a little bit, but I would probably still expect him to be a top 5 pick in drafts next year. He was the number 1 overall kid in his class at the wide receiver position. He's had some big games for Missouri. This season's been a little underwhelming, but the raw talent and the abilities there. He's one of those guys in that Deebo Samuel type mold. So he's going to be a perfect fit for how the NFL is playing right now. So 3 picks through 4 picks now. We still do not have a quarterback that has gone. Amos going Nick Singleton. So after the first running back in this class, it is quite a bit up in the air right now. You know, in the past, we've had a little more clarity on who running back 2 is. You have like 8 or 9 different guys that people will tell you is running back 2. Nick Singleton's one of them. He's been around for a while. He was the number 1 running back in his class coming out. And he's fallen off a little bit as far as the, what's the best way to put it? The hype that he had as a true freshman, but still looks really good. Really solid player. Next, we have Quinn Ewers. Next 2 guys went ahead and took quarterbacks. Dan, go ahead and make your pick whenever you're ready, my guy. Quinn Ewers, last year, watching his tape was rough. But this kid has really improved this year. He's improved his, it's not often that you lose a first and a second round wide receiver and you look better. So you can tell he's put in the time, he's put in the work. His decision-making, his accuracy looks so much better than it did the season before. So I'm really impressed with this kid, and I would not blame anyone for taking him as the top guy at the quarterback position. Shedeur Sanders, next guy off the board. Shedeur, we've known about him for a while. Deion's son. He's 6'1", so not the biggest guy, but he's got enough size. And he's a good athlete, but not this like crazy mobile, run all over the place athlete that you would think of being Deion's son. Like, he's a true pocket passer that can create and do other things, but he wins with his arm. So I think that's a good pick. And Cam Ward, I thought for sure Cam Ward was going to fall to me. I think he's going to end up being the first quarterback off the board. He is really impressive. I like a lot of what I've seen out of this kid. And for somebody that transferred, this is a second transfer. Like, in the past, that's always like a red flag. Not anymore. Kids are transferring all the time. And in Miami, he seems really comfortable, and he's been making some big plays. So that puts me up. at 9 or at 8. If anybody wants to take team 9 or 12, the link's there. You guys are still more than welcome to hop in here. There's a few options for me. At this point, Carson Beck's interesting. I could consider him. I'm a big Omarion Hampton fan, so I'm considering him. Travis Hunter is probably going to be the number one, if not lock for top 5 pick. The only question is, will he end up being the full-time wide receiver that we want him to be or not? Is it going to be full-time corner, part-time receiver, full-time receiver, part-time corner, full-time both? Just picks one. We don't fully know yet. That's what makes him tricky. But I'm actually, a couple of you guys have asked, I'm taking Colston Loveland here. With this being tight end premium, I really like the tape that I've seen from this kid. And this might be a tad early, but we're seeing young tight ends in the past 2 years, Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta, be able to come in right away and make things happen. Right away and make things happen. So I have no doubt that, assuming he goes first round, which I think he's a lock to, that he'll be able to make an impact. Yeah, go ahead and put, I don't know who put him there, but Travis Hunter would probably be the next logical choice to go in this draft. Either him or Carson Beck, more than likely. So we can put Travis Hunter there at pick 9. Then we have MXSVN here. Goes with Jalen Milroe. Milroe's one of the biggest wild cards in this class. He could end up being a top 10 pick. He could end up being somebody that doesn't go until round 3. Crazy athlete. But it's the consistency with his arm that's the question mark right now. Plays at a big-time program like Alabama, so that obviously is a good thing for him, but we've seen him disappear a little bit at times. So that's going to be the big question mark. Now, the last of the quarterbacks that I expected to go in the first round went. We could do Ollie Garden. I think he's falling down boards, but we can put him there. He's been pretty rough this year. He's only been averaging 3.8 yards per carry. 3.8 yards per carry in college is pretty bad. But I know a lot of people still like him. I haven't got to watch a ton of tape. This is tight end premium, yes. I haven't got to watch a ton of tape on him, but the little bit that I have, I've been underwhelmed compared to all of the awards and accolades and things like that. At what point in this draft do you seriously consider trading down if it fell this way? That's a good question, because honestly, Ashton Gentry's kind of in a tier of his own right now, and it's close to the point where Tate McMillan is becoming a tier of his own, and then like burdened through most of the rest of the round is pretty even. So that's where I would probably consider, right around pick 3 is where I would potentially look at trading down. My thoughts on Bo Nix. Think he will be elite with training experience and a better Broncos team in the future. I'm the wrong guy for this. I'm not a big fan. And we can widen these columns here, fit the names in. There we go. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't think he has the arm strength to really be able to get it done at the next level. So, and he's so old by comparison that I don't know that you're going to be able to give him the time to develop that you would maybe other quarterbacks. And so for me, I'm not the highest on this guy. There were a couple trades or a couple things up higher that I did not get to. So let me try to touch on these real quick. Let's see. Is Zamir White the biggest disappointment this year? I don't know if he's the biggest, but he's up there. Travis Etienne, Rashad White, both pretty big disappointments. Then basically the entire Miami offense after losing to a pretty big disappointments as well. Should I sell Rashad White and Ramondre for Anthony Richardson? Absolutely. Absolutely. Lorenzo, need a second quarterback this week. Spencer Rattler or Russell Wilson? I'll go Russ with Rattler not having any receivers, but I don't love it. Clint, you are up. Clint and Ross, you guys can both go ahead and go. So second round so far, Quinshad Judkins, Travion Henderson, both go there in the early part of the second round. And if that's how drafts shape up, like that's the appeal of this class is like guys that could easily go pick 4 or 5 going in picks 2, 1, 2, 2. That's really the appeal outside of Ashton Gentry just being otherworldly. So definitely an exciting class. Isaiah Bond, Mecca Buka. Once again, we've got 2 wide receivers that are probably going to be day 1 guys. If not, they're going to be early day 2. So you've got receivers kind of pushed down because we do now have a lot of quarterbacks. We do have a lot of running backs in this class. So it pushes down guys like that. And anytime you can get around 1 receiver in round 2, it's a good value. MXSVN, I can see Emeka being the wide receiver 3 in this class behind Tet and Burden. I could see that as a possibility. Thoughts on James Cook with Davis's big game? Yeah, I do think that is going to be a little more committee-ish than we want it to be. So they want somebody between the tackles. They've needed somebody between the tackles for a long time and have not had it. Oster BS, should I sell Cooper Kupp and the 109 to 112 pick for DJ Moore? I would rather just hold. Because Coop I'm assuming this is a contender move. And if that's the case, I would rather just use Kupp for the rest of the season, who's going to give you similar, if not maybe even better production than DJ Moore. And then let's go ahead and go for taking a pick there or using it on somebody else. So I would rather not. All right. Devin Neal goes next. A good, solid running back out of Kansas. Trey Harris, big play wide receiver from Ole Miss, catching darts from Jackson Dart. Then we've got Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. Penn State does a good job of developing and putting out good tight ends, so he's definitely a really interesting one. Is this guy not gone? Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. I love you guys so much. Bam. If this scenario happened to me, I was legitimately considering taking Omarion Hampton a full round to go. A full round. So I am thrilled to see him here. He's the RB2 in the class for me. Yeah, we can put Evan Stewart there. I think that's a good pick. Then let's Benjamin. Benjamin says, as a team that's currently 4-2 battling injuries and depth issues, currently 6th in points for, what would you pay for Ayuk, Mixon, and either Stafford or Carr? The other guy wants my first, Addison, and Wright. I would make that deal all day and twice on Sunday if I think I'm a legit contender. Ayuk, Mixon, and Stafford for 26 first, Addison and Wright. Addison and Wright are both fun upside players, but nobody that I'm overly excited about. More so Wright, I am excited, but we'll see. So I think that's a great move. Evan Stewart goes next. That was somebody else that I thought I was going to end up taking here. But with Hampton falling to me, I had to go that route. But Evan Stewart, transfer from A&M, went to Oregon, looked pretty good this past week. I'm not a big Dart guy. I would probably not put Dart there personally. I think Nussmeier is gonna end up being. So if we're gonna put a quarterback, I'd much rather put Nussmeier there than Jackson Dart. MXSVN, he goes off the board. I like it. Goes off the board here. Takes Jaquindon Jackson. He's the running back out of Arkansas. He's been doing some good things this year. I have not watched any tape to be able to say if I genuinely like him or not. But the little bit of like highlights and things like that, he does look like a really, really intriguing prospect. So Nussmeier then goes with pick 11 in the second round. Last but not least, let's probably go with, we could put Xavier Restrepo in there. Wide receiver, slot guy out of Miami. Been doing some really good things with Cam Ward. So this gives you kind of a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at in this class, which I think is always a really, really helpful exercise to do just kind of ahead of time. If you're wanting some running backs, look, you're getting some really good ones even into the second round. So if that's the case, this is the draft for you. This is the draft for you. But it also pushes down some good receivers late. Guys like Evan Stewart could even still be a first-round pick. Abuka, Bond, I think, are likely to be first-round picks. So overall, fun exercise. Thanks for doing this with me, guys. And that wraps up another Dynasty lunch break. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Always have such a good time hanging out with you. The comments, the questions, the just everything. Caleb Johnson, yeah, I do like Caleb Johnson as well. I'm surprised I didn't put him in here, but out of Iowa, I think he's going to be a day 2 guy. But appreciate you guys. Best of week. Good luck to all of your fantasy teams. And we'll be back here next Thursday and every Thursday at noon Eastern time for Dynasty Lunch Break.